Good afternoon. I'm with Shane Williams, CEO of West Red Lake Gold. The symbol is WRLG on the TSX Venture. Shane, how are you today?
I'm good, Robert. Great to be on again.
Yes, it's great to have you back. The last time we spoke was in Florida a few months ago. A lot has happened since then, both in the gold market and with West Red Lake. So let's get an update from you. I mean, you're the guy with your finger on the pulse there at the Madsen Mine. How's the mine going?
Yeah, when was it we met before, Robert?
It was the Rule Symposium. It was exactly 4 months ago, actually.
Yeah. Well, 4 months is a lot in West Red Lake for sure. Yeah, look, I was up there last week actually, and so it's actually going very well, Robert. You know, we've taken a bit of, one of the things of these startups and ramp ups is everybody expects them to be quicker than planned. And, the approach of West Red Lake over the last 18 months has been slow and steady. The last few operators who were there tried to rush it, and this ore body needs time, it needs patience, and it's slow and steady. And so our ramp up has been like that, really. We've taken time, we're ramping up slow and steady. And so all through August, September, October, now and into November, we've been gradually increasing the production rate. We've been gradually increasing through the mine. We've been producing gold. As we've talked about, it's the right time to be ramping up a gold mine for sure with gold prices. So it's going very well. I'm very pleased with the progress. It's like 18 months of the work is coming to fruition now as we head into the end of the year. We've brought in new equipment. We've got a teams ramped up. We've 250 people on site, so it's a buzz of activity at the moment, and it's very exciting.
Okay, so that's great to hear. And obviously the results do continue to show progress and expanded mill throughput. You're pouring more gold each consecutive quarter. So what about the month of October? What can you tell us about the performance at Madsen during the month of October?
Yeah, October, like for the ramp up of Madsen October, the mill, the way we judge it really is the ramp up of the mine and the mill. Right, so we're getting tons through the mill. For recollection of people, the mill runs at about in full production at 800 tons a day. So we've been ramping up. So as an example, in October or in September, as an example, we were at 500 tons a day. In October, we're at 630 tons a day. So we're not far off. Commercial production is probably around that 650, 700 tons a day when we get to that consistency. So we're not far off it now. So we're running. If I just recall the numbers in October, we ran around that 600 tons a day consistently over the month. That's the mine producing consistently that tonnage, and that's the mill producing that tonnage consistently. So it is. I'm very pleased with the ramp up. The teams have done well, and we're getting to where we need to be. And I suspect we've started it strong, very strong already in November. And I expect November will be a higher tonnage and higher ounce production.
Okay, very good. So the average grade in Q3 was 5.4 grams per ton gold. Now, do you expect the average grade to stay in that range, 5 to 6 grams?
Yeah, I do actually for the rest of the year. If you recall, we did a lot of high drill results in that South Austin area. I know we're going to maybe talk about it. And so we had some very, very good, those stopes or that area comes in early January, February. So, we have to drill it. We have to put it into a mine plan. We have to So the high grade into early next year, there's a couple of those stopes coming back into December, sort of early stage, but the majority of them come into January, February, and March. So Q1, the grade bumps up quite a fair bit. But for the rest of the year, that sort of grade is a reasonable sort of number to have.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a little bit of a tougher question. There might be some math involved here. So in Q3, the average realized selling price per ounce of gold was $34.56. I'm looking at the quotes right now. We're a few bucks above 4,000 right now. So assuming the gold price stays steady around 4,000 for the rest of the year, and obviously that's a big assumption. And you said the mill is increasing throughput now. You went from 500 to 630 tons per day now, and maybe increasing a little bit more. That would tell me, well, West Red Lake is on track for a record quarter in terms of many key metrics. And maybe the gross revenue might actually exceed $50 million. Is that possible?
I'm not sure. I'd have to do the math. I have to do the math. There's a lot in there. But I would add to this. That and our financials are posted. You know, people can see our financials. So from Q2 to Q3, it was a big step up. Yeah. You know, at these current gold prices, the mine is making money. You know, the mine is making money. It's generating cash. So it is making money at these gold prices. Q4 will be the strongest. Sort of number. You can take it like this. The plan for the rest for November and December, October, November, December is around that 3,000 ounce mark roughly per month. You know, that's 9,000 ounces, whatever that is in sort of gold price. So it's not far off that number you said there, Robert.
Yeah, it's very close. Yeah, it's very close to 50 million. Okay, well that's great to hear, because last quarter you poured 7,000 ounces, so now you're on track to maybe pour 9,000 ounces. So the progress continues. So are you saying that West Red Lake at Madsen is on track to end the year 2025 at a run rate of about 35 to 40,000 ounces per year?
I would say a little bit higher than that. The plan would be, you know, as I said, the ramp up will continue into next year. I would say that 50,000 ounces sort of number, depending on, you know, progress, depending on grade, depending on access. But, you know, that 50,000 ounces would be a good number to have for 2026, and then ramping up from there in 2027, sort of. Back end of 26, the ramp up would increase. Yeah, that's a good number. And we're pretty much there. You know, as I said, we're pretty much there now, you know, but we'll get there, I think, by January 1st, that run rate.
Okay, very good. All right. I put enough, stress on you there with those questions.
That's fine. As I said, look, we're doing 2026 budgeting already. We're in the middle of it all. We're putting our plans together. You know, we're trying to, you know, look at all those areas. We've pretty much, from a mining perspective, we kind of set up for, you know, next year is low sustaining capex. Next year, there's not a lot of capex. We've put a lot of money into the project. You know, we have all our equipment we need. We have all the people we need pretty much. So we're kind of this year was about a setup year. So next year then going forward and would be the main production year, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Okay, that's great to hear. That's what shareholders want to see for sure. So you had two news releases with more drill results from the lower main Austin zone. And some of these drill results are really quite extraordinary, like 139 grams per ton gold over 7.8 meters and 75 grams per ton gold over 8.7 meters. And there's a bunch more, I couldn't even state them all. You know, those kinds of gold intercepts are very rare, really world-class, and just shows the high grade, nature of this ore body at Madsen. My mind immediately goes to, okay, we've got all that high grade gold. When is it going to be mined?
No. And so I want to jump back a little bit for context for investors. So, there's a couple of mines in Canada. One of them is a very great, one of the highest grade mines in Canada, called Island Gold. It's run by Alamos. And, most of these mines started off, this 40 to 50,000 ounces a year sort of number, lower grade. As soon as they got down deeper in the system, that's when the grade really opened up and the scale. And it took a number of years to get there because you have to work down through it. So Madsen is no different. And it takes normally from those high grade hits into a mine plan of anywhere between 3 to 6 months later. It's because you have to drill it, you have to do more definition, you have to do the engineering, if you put it into a mine plan, you have to sequence it. So it does, I think some investors feel as if we hit the drill hole results and then the next month we're mining it. It doesn't work like that. So it does take time. So that's why we've had all those great hits at the back half of this year in that South Austin. And so all that grade comes in early Q1 next year. That's kind of the timeline.
Oh, yeah.
Is
That's nice. So actually West Red Lake is on the cusp of a major sweet spot, because in Q1 of 2026, you're going to be getting into some of these high grade stopes at South Austin.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You know, people see those high grades and they expect, as you said, mining straight away, but it does take a lag. By the time you drill, you have to get developed into those areas. You have to develop, get ready, set up the mining, and then mine. So the South Austin, it's been about 4 to 5 months since we started to hit that South Austin, but we really hit that from a mining perspective in Q1 of next year. That's kind of where we're setting up. And that's why we've gone a bit slower and started up slower to get that ready. Obviously, look, 25 is a startup year, but 26 is really the first production guidance, real full production year, because we started in March of this year. So we need to get 26 set up. So we set it up so we come out with a strong quarter in Q1 of next year. That's how it's been set up.
I got it. Okay. And then how many rigs do you have down there at the mine right now? And are you continuing to test some of these higher grade pockets at depth?
Yeah, so we've two rigs on the ground, drilling rigs, working full time. Basically, they're working full time. They will work there for life of mine. And we will have some very better news, actually better high grade than South Austin coming up, because we've hit an area of the mine. We were in South Austin now. We're moving over to Austin now, where we're drilling. And as we're going down into the depth of Austin, we're finding grades as good as South Austin in there now. So, because as we go down deeper, Robert, there's less remnants. Just to give you a scale of the first 7 or 8 levels of this mine has been mined by a couple of times. You know, we had the original old timers, then you had Claude Resources mined a little bit, and then you had Pure Gold, but they never got down around 8 or 9 level. And we're down at 12 and 13 level now. And this is less remnants, more virgin ground, higher grade. And that's what we're beginning to hit now. The South Austin was the first part of it. And in Austin, we're hitting the same area. So we will have some very exciting drill results probably within the next 4 to 5 weeks coming out of this new area, which is every bit as good as the South Austin area. And again, just so people are aware, that will translate into the back half of 26 sort of mining. So we're hoping to have a good setup for Q1 and then back half of 26 to keep that grade the same. So that's kind of
2026 sounds like you got a loaded deck there.
Well, that's why, you know, we're getting a bit of, you know, people are asking, where are we? Why aren't we ramping up? And I want to really set it like 24 was about setting up for 25, getting ramp up, and 25 is about setting up 26 for operational setup. You know, so that 26 we come out as the first full year of production with good numbers, good grade. People can see the real value of Madsen.
Okay, very good. So a couple of weeks ago, you announced the start of a drill program at the Rowan Project, which is a very important part of the future of West Red Lake. Tell us about the drilling at, Rowan, and what is the plan there?
Yeah, so really in 24, we did a bit of drilling on Rowan. We started off, we came out with a resource. We did a high level this year, a high level PEA in Rowan. We have advanced permitting. We can't continue to do baseline studies. We're starting to talk to the regulators about starting permitting. The plan now is to do drilling and convert a lot of the inferred to indicated and infill a lot of other areas. And the real concept is to put a proper study together next year, probably mid of next year, that integrates Rowan and Madsen as the one project effectively. Because Rowan is an important part of the story at West Red Lake. That's why we bought it. But and there's an opportunity now at Madsen as well to use a different gold price. If you remember, we used the $1,600 gold price for the reserves and building them resources and the mine plan. And, at the time, now it looks crazy low. compared to where gold is today. So we can have another go at redefining Madsen, which I think will help get it bigger and better, and then bring Rowan in as another feed of source. So I think getting to that 120,000 ounces a year sort of number is quite reasonable with those two projects together.
So with Rowan, what needs to be done at Rowan, in order to advance that to a permitted mining operation?
Yeah, so we've already applied for what's called an exploitation permit, which is a permit to go underground and start the mining. I don't know if your viewers are aware, but in Ontario recently, they've pretty much like every other mining jurisdiction, they focused on this fast tracking permit process. And so we're working with the government to get Rowan designated as a fast track project in the Red Lake region. So that would bring Rowan on track quicker, probably 27, 28 sort of timeline where Rowan would start to provide material. And remember, it's just an underground. It's a small underground with all the material coming back to Madsen. So that's pretty exciting as the next stage of growth for the Madsen project.
Very good. And I guess the last piece that I'd like to talk about, Shane, is the share price performance and sort of the valuation opportunity here. I mean, look, in September and October, along with a lot of the other gold miners out there, West Red Lake had a nice rally. The market cap got above 300 million in the US. Now, with a bit of a pullback here, actually, we're almost back to 200 million market cap in US dollars. And, doing the math, I mean, you said yourself, in 2026, you could be doing 50,000 ounces potentially. Well, $4,000 gold price. We can look at your financials and get a good idea of what the costs are. I mean, I've done my math, and if you're able to hit that 50,000 ounces in 2026 and gold is 4,000 or maybe higher, this looks pretty attractive to me. What do you think about the valuation opportunity here?
Yeah, I think and then look, this is, I understand this. We've lagged a little bit. Other sort of, I would say, peer companies that have that sort of scale. And look, I understand, this mine has failed twice. There's a little bit of a wait and see so that we deliver. But I'm pretty confident with the work we've done and the time we've taken. We're pretty much on track for that sort of a number next year. And as you say, when you do the maths, and even at today's gold price, never mind about they're talking about gold going much higher, we are very undervalued for the story. And there's very few projects, Robert, and you probably know this, that are coming into full production next year. There's a lot of, are in production. There's a lot of last year went into production, but there's very few coming into 26 into production, like ramping up to that 50,000 ounce a year. Given the share price, I think that's a real opportunity for investors to get in and ride up that ramp price and that re-rating. Not only the gold price is changing, but we will re-rate as people see those ounces, see that grade, see the production numbers, and get more and more confidence. I think we'll get a big re-rating next year.
Yeah, especially in 2026, once you are starting to meet some of those key thresholds, and you're ramping up even more to 50,000 ounces per year. I think there's a lot of exchange traded funds that could include West Red Lake in their portfolios. It seems to me like there's a lot of opportunity for West Red Lake to find some new and much larger shareholders in 2026.
Yeah, we're seeing that, early on we were a lot of retail obviously starting. We've seen that already come in. We're getting a lot of interest now from institutional coming on board, waiting and see. But again, they're all waiting to see. So again, a couple of big milestones in early next year, Q1 26, we will declare commercial production. As I said, I'm very confident because we're nearly there now at sort of those run rates I told you. So, declare commercial production very early and then hit those high grades in Q1, which will come out strong in our quarterlies, and then ramping up from there. that's a 26 is setting itself up to be a strong year. Robert.
Shane Williams, thank you for your time.
No problem. Thank you very much, Robert. Thank you.
Cheers.